Welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a great, in our opinion, anyways, great show lined up this week. We've got Jason Hutton from the Timepiece Show series in Toronto, Montreal, and as well as Vancouver. The Vancouver date coming up here, April 24th, 25th, 26th. So we're excited for that, and also, another great segment with Smartwatch Dick. So why don't we let's just get into it.
Let's wind it up.
What you talking about? It's time for the show right now. Alex and Jordan break it down from the bezel to the crown. Every second counts, no doubt. What you talking about?
All right, so another episode. We're going to get into our conversation with Jason here shortly, but once again, we got to roll our weekly Smartwatch Dick segment first. We got to see what he has for us today.
All right.
You're looking over your shoulder. Are you worried?
Well, I thought my cat was coming.
Oh, Smartwatch Dick is not actually coming to your house. I'm just going to have a video that I'm going to play for you.
I thought Carlos was coming down the stairs to attack me or something.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. All right. So we'll get into the Smartwatch Dick segment and see what he has for us today.
Nitpicks. Corrections incoming with Smartwatch Dick.
He said he left it black, so there was no surprise at the beginning and no spoiler.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, Alex. You ready for our big April Fool's Day episode? I was born ready. Let's wind it up.
What you talking about? It's time for the show right now. Alex and Jordan break it down from the bezel to the crown. Every second counts, no doubt. What you talking about?
All right, let's not waste any time then. What's on your wrist today, Jordan? I'm not really sure how to say this, but I think Smartwatch Dick got to me. I don't get it. What do you mean? Well, this week, my wife got me a little gift. I've got the Garmin Venue 3. Now, to stay true to my roots, I'm going with the Rolex Datejust Face. But I gotta say, this thing's awesome. Oh my God, I'm floored. Yeah, I didn't know what I was missing. I mean, this thing's got all the data. It's got my sleep score. I get notifications, so I know when people are texting me. It even keeps a charge for up to a week. And get this, I don't even have to adjust the time every day because it's hooked to the internet. Who knew the internet could do things besides porn? I gotta say, I didn't see that coming, but it makes sense. Smartwatch Dick makes a very compelling argument. Enough about my new hobbies. What's on your wrist today, Alex? Well, I like a big diameter watch. This week, I'm going with the Morningstar with the white dial. It's a little clunky for some, but for me, it's great. I love it for my walks through the woods. See what time it is, no problem. Jesus, how big is that thing? It's a 245 millimeter case. And I know, Jordan, you're not a big fan of quartz usually in changing batteries, but I think these guys cracked the code. It actually uses AA batteries. Super easy to change, and everyone's always got a bunch of those sitting around the house. I can't even imagine the damage that thing would do to your boat. Oh, this bad boy does not go on the boat. In fact, I can't take it anywhere near the lake. There is zero waterproofing on this movement. In fact, I should probably take it off now because if I start to sweat, I'm bound to ruin it. All right, well, definitely check out our Instagrams for pictures of these beauties. Now, what do you say we get on to the best part of the show? That's a good call. What do you have for us this week, Smartwatch Dick?
Nitpicks. Corrections incoming with Smartwatch Dick.
Hey guys, Smartwatch Dick here. That was quite the turn of events. I mean, Jordan of all people, I can't believe he went that route. I mean, maybe I'm rubbing off on him a little bit. Alex, on the other hand, I think we all know you like a giant case, so it was only a matter of time before you went to the extreme. Now, as far as Smartwatch Dick, we got some changes happening here. I was going through my stuff, going through an old drawer, and, wrist check, I ran across this beauty. That's a Seiko 5 from 1976 with the TV-shaped bezel. Now, back in the 70s, that was a big thing with Seiko. They like the weird TV-shaped case. Personally, I think it looks pretty cool. Now, like I said, it's from 1976. This watch is 50 years old. It's been in a drawer for at least 25 years. I took that thing out. It's got day and date. I set that. I set the time, wandered around for a couple days now. It's been keeping solid time, no issues at all. So that automatic movement is great. Now, as far as the movement, it's a caliber 6119, which is what they used in all the Seikos back then. 21 joules, given 21,600 vibrations per hour. When that thing's charged up, I think it says it'll get 40 to 47 hours of power reserve, which is great. Now, Alex, you'll be disappointed. It's fairly small. It's a 36 millimeter case, which you would never do, but I think it looks quite nice on my dainty wrist. So, anyways, we got a bit of a dilemma now. I don't know if there's room to not have Smartwatch Dick on the show anymore. Is there a space in the world for a Nitpicks with Seiko Richard? I guess we'll have to see. So, now that I'm not Smartwatch guy anymore, I'm looking for watches. So, if anybody knows any good deals on watches, let me know. Shoot me an email. As you know, wytanitpicks@gmail.com. Hook me up with some deals. Right now, I'm looking for a wooden watch. I want a wooden case, ideally with a quartz movement. I love changing batteries. It's old school in me. So yeah, if we got something like that, honestly, if we could find two so I had a backup, that would be even better. So hit me up with an email there if you run into anything that you think I might be interested in. And, I don't know how I'm going to get the email. I'm pretty sure this thing's not going to beep when I get an email. So, yeah, I'll figure it out somehow. But yeah, I guess I'll probably be back next week. Thanks for having me. If not, we'll see you around.
Oh my God.
Tears.
That was hilarious, man. Oh my Lord. Gotcha.
What's wrong? What's wrong with him?
Holy cow. What? I think the list of what's right with him would be shorter.
Oh
my Lord. That was so funny. I love that guy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. If I didn't know any better, I think we should give him his own segment. Man.
You know, I feel like we mentioned it once on an earlier episode. Maybe we're just a segment on his show.
Yeah, I'm starting to think. Yeah, we're an elongated segment of the Smartwatch Dick.
Yeah, we're all just living in his world. I don't even know what to say about that other than like amazing. I love you, man. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Smartwatch Dick. That was easily the funniest thing I'm going to see today.
That's amazing. Yeah, with this episode dropping on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Thanks for finding the humor in for our show for us this week, Smartwatch Dick. That was amazing. Good to see him in that Seiko too, hey?
Very classy watch, actually. That was really nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely square case shape was a big thing, and especially in the mid-'70s, you know. In fact, Gavox Torcanal makes a watch called the 70s, which is actually, it's a square-shaped chronograph. So there you go.
Yeah. And that would be Smartwatch Dick's birth year watch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
See, and the story on that watch just gets better, and one day we'll there's more to it, and we will get to it. Let's leave it at that.
We will. That was incredible. I'm not even going to say anything else because that just needs to be left there where it was. It was perfect. Yeah.
I think simply without further ado, let's talk to Jason.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Well, today we're joined by Jason Hutton. He's the man behind the timepiece events across Canada, including the upcoming Vancouver Timepiece Show. I believe we're a month away as of the recording day today. He's also the founder of ZENEA Watches. And so he's just someone that's really helping bring the Canadian watch community together, I think with his brand and with these shows. And we're excited to have him on today and talk about everything that's coming up this year. And thanks for joining us, Jason.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and you're very kind with your compliments. So I'm just out there doing what I do and hopefully bringing people together. So.
Wow.
I could say I'm a fan of both the Timepiece Show and the ZENEA watches. You know, I mean,
thank
you're doing some great things that every watch enthusiast should appreciate.
Yeah.
There's the shows are a lot of fun. I mean, we'll get into it and talk a little bit more about, the vision and originally what I wanted to create and kind of how things are going. But for me, when these shows are actually executed and they run over the course of the weekend, the most fulfilling part for me is seeing thousands of watch enthusiasts all basically come to the same place. And it's if you've never been to a watch event before, a large scale watch event, I highly, highly recommend that you come and check it out. They happen all over the world. They are fairly new to Canada. There's no one else sort of doing the thing that I'm doing, at least within the Canadian market space. But the enthusiasm and the connection and the camaraderie and the things that happen over the course of the weekend, it's really, really amazing. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, say it's like being in a candy store. It's more than just that, because it's not only you get to see the candy, but you're also with thousands of other candy enthusiasts. And it just, it's kind of an explosive weekend. And I can't do it justice with words, but come and check it out and you will see for yourself how incredible it is.
Yeah.
If those watches were candy, I'd be 350 pounds.
I probably would be as well. So I always tell people, bring your wallet or your credit card when you come to, because there's always something that catches your eye. But the big opportunity I think at these shows is to see, at least the shows that I put together, because there's so many independent brands. A lot of them are exclusively e-commerce brands. So really it's the one and only opportunity that you might have as a local watch enthusiast to come and get your hands on with those watches and hold them in person, try them on your wrist, talk to the founders, talk to the designers. It changes and it shifts how you view particular brands. And it also allows you to really experience the watch in person, which is so important. Because sometimes too, you might even love a watch. And I've done this as well. I've seen watches. I'm like, oh, that looks amazing. And you put it on your wrist and it's a bit painful because it's like, it's not working for me for whatever reason. And other times you see something and you weren't too sure about it and you try it on, you see it in person and you fall in love with it. So it's really an amazing experience. Nothing beats in person in terms of the watches for sure.
100%.
No, get something in your, I like to say my chubby little hand, out in the wild and get it on your wrist is a completely different experience. Oftentimes it's been my experience that when you see pictures online, a watch looks nice, but very rarely do they do it justice in a natural light, especially, to be honest, that shipyard venue that you host the Vancouver Timepiece Show, there's so much natural light in there. That's such a great venue. That's such a good building.
I looked at a lot of venues across Vancouver. When I saw that one, that was my absolute number one choice for doing it. It was actually kind of funny because although I chose the venue and I had to wait, the way they do it, because it's owned by the city of North Vancouver and they have their dates when they open it up for booking is actually months after my initial walkthrough. So it wasn't truly official until I kind of went through that process, and it was a bit stressful because at that point, I mean, I had backup plans, but that was the venue that I wanted. So I was in my mind, I'd already sold myself. Oh, it has to be here. It has to be here. So anyways, it all worked out, and we're coming back every year to that venue. It's a great spot. Yeah, it's a great spot.
Well, I'm sorry.
Fantastic.
I called it the shipyards. I believe it's actually called the pipe shop.
It's the pipe shop, but it's in the shipyard. So you're technically correct. Yeah. It's part of the shipyard. So all good.
On every episode, we actually do a wrist check and see what we're wearing. I figured maybe I'll ask you today, Jason, and see what you've got on your wrist today.
Sure. I put on something I think it's pretty interesting. This is I'll see if the camera can get it here. It's actually a vintage Omega Seamaster. So it's probably from about, I would say, the early 60s, like maybe 63 or 1964. I actually picked this up at a thrift store about 5 or 6 years ago, and it needed servicing, but I never had it serviced, and I just recently got it serviced. And a shout out to Trillium Watch Group out here in Toronto, and they did a great job. They put in a new mainspring, they replaced it with an original crystal, just cleaned it up a bit, got it running perfect, and amazing. I've been wearing it a lot on my wrist since then, so I enjoy it. I have a very eclectic mix of watches in my personal collection, but I love vintage as well. It's always a big part for me.
Yeah.
Well, those things
That's
are
a
just
beauty.
class.
Thank you.
That's a beauty. Yeah. I'm actually wearing today, I'm wearing my Duckworth Prestix Rivington GMT.
Ooh, nice.
And I have worn this on the show before, but the reason I'm wearing this is I purchased this last year at the Vancouver Timepiece Show. I'd never seen Duckworth Prestix. I'd never even actually heard the name. And Jordan and I stopped at the table, and I was immediately smitten with their watches. And then talking to Neil.
Yeah.
5 times we stopped at that table, Alex.
Well, yeah, we stopped a bunch of times. But yeah, let's be honest. It was a process. And so, yeah, I wanted to wear this because, you know, like you were saying earlier, just what the watch show brings, like I enjoyed it. I really liked watches before that. And then getting to see them in the metal and having them in your hands and getting to try them on, like that's what, you know, has all led to this a year later, Jordan and I wanting to do the show and being part of the community and wanting to talk watches more. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. So that's why I'm wearing that watch today.
Amazing.
See what happens
That's
this
a
year.
great choice.
See what I find this year. Yeah.
I concur with you. Neil's a great guy as well. I've met him even before the very first Toronto show. And I ran into him, I can't remember where it was, but it was overseas somewhere at a show. And anyways, yeah, great guy, very strong horology background, very accomplished, and just a very passionate individual as well. So people love him, myself included. So he's not confirmed for Vancouver this year, so he might not be back to Vancouver, but he is confirmed for the Toronto show. So he'll definitely be in Toronto.
Okay.
And sometimes Neil books a little last minute. He's like, hey, do you still have a spot? And then poof, he'll pop over.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that might happen, but no, he's not confirmed yet. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
Well, and I'll say this, I also have a Duckworth Prestix, but what I love the watch. I bought the McLaren watch, but his rubber straps, I don't know where he sources his rubber straps from, but the rubber strap I got from him is just absolutely fantastic. So, all right, I'll just go ahead. I am wearing, and I always dislocate my shoulder trying to do this, so I'm just going to take my watch off and hold it up. I am wearing a Christopher Ward Bel Canto today.
Bring in the heavy guns. I like it.
Yeah, I hadn't worn it for a while, and I woke up this morning. I thought, you know, one of the brands that I was really, really excited to see last year at the Vancouver Timepiece Show was Christopher Ward in the metal, because I'd already had this Bel Canto. I have a 12 titanium, so I just wanted to see everything else in the metal, and yeah, so it was great. Again, just they're a brand to me. They've definitely moved away from microbrand to a truly independent watch brand for sure. With the number, geez, I think they were even ranked in the top 20 Swiss watchmakers this year. So, you know, I'm a big fan of the brand. Alex, maybe not as much. We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, so yeah, I'm hoping they're there this year too, because I'm looking forward. I want to see that Pan Am model in person.
Yeah, that's they always bring some interesting things, and they have such a strong pipeline of product coming out as well. I had the opportunity actually about a year ago to visit their Maidenhead head office. So I went in there with Bob L.A.B, who's also a content creator here in the Toronto area, and we were out for British Watchmakers Day. So we had the opportunity to get a tour through the facility, and really quite something. And they have this big kind of a vision, not a vision board, but it's like this huge wall of all their kind of upcoming products, which are coming out, all planned out over like year, 2, 3 years ahead. It's quite something. I just got a brief look at it, and then they realized it was kind of exposed, so they hit it up quickly. So I didn't get to it for too long, but a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that's one of those experiences. That must be a great experience walking through a facility like that. Like, it's just, you know, seeing it firsthand on the scale they're doing it would be great.
Yeah, it really is. And I think they've got, I can't remember how many employees they have now. I think it's about 75 or 80 employees. So it's pretty sizable business. And certainly they're growing year after year. Of course, Mike Pearson is working with them now for a little while in the North American market. He's done an amazing job. That man is an absolute, he's so passionate, but he's a machine. I mean, he just go all the time. Yeah. And he comes to the shows, like not just timepiece shows, but any of the shows around the world. But in addition to whatever show he's doing, he'll do 4 or 5 events on either end of the show as well. So he's just an incredibly busy guy. I don't know how he has the energy to do it all, but he really does. He's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah.
Well,
I think when you're passionate
why
about
they're
something,
where they're at.
Yeah. It's for sure. I guess just to kind of maybe start out, just for those that don't know a lot about you, Jason, like, why don't you just give us a little bit about your background and kind of how your watch journey began and led you to where you are?
Okay. I'll try and, even though we've got a dedicated watch audience here, I'm going to keep it brief.
Yeah.
So I don't go on too much. I don't know if you guys know, Vancouver was actually my hometown. I grew up in Vancouver. So I moved I'm 56 now. I moved when I was about 31 or 32. So I've been in Toronto area for about 25 years now, 26 years. Vancouver is my home, of course. Always been a watch enthusiast, even since I was a kid. I remember it's changed over in terms of what I like. But I mean, I remember one of my earliest watches was like a Loris Mickey Mouse watch. I had a lot of fun with that. And then I got into, the digital watches. So I have one of those really early watches. You press the button and you can see the time for red LED. Battery lasts for about a month before it goes dead. So I had that. And then as I got
runs on a car battery.
Yeah, exactly. High school. I remember when I was graduating, my mom said, I'm going to buy you a special gift for graduation for high school. What do you want? And my answer, without even hesitation, is, I want a nice watch. I want a nice watch. So, it's more of a fashion watch now. I wouldn't buy it now, but it was a Gucci G-Face. So I was all excited to get that. So I had that on my wrist for a few years. And as I, started working, I was a student, I bought a Tag Formula One, and then I bought a Tag Curium about a decade later. And I kind of, as things went on, I always loved watches, but really with the spawn or the development of internet and social media, I think that started to really open up my eyes to the watch world and discovering other things that were out there besides just what was found in the major retail outlets. And that was kind of the entry into the rabbit hole. My career was not always watches. I worked in medical devices and pharmaceutical, mostly in sales and marketing roles. I actually worked at Vancouver General Hospital in patient care capacity in cardiology department for a few years as well, early in my career. So it's been quite varied, but probably about 4 years ago now, I launched my brand, ZENEA, just before COVID started. But I was starting to go out and attend shows occasionally to promote my brand. And that was really where the genesis or the idea of doing a show in the Canadian space came from. When I was down in these markets and I was seeing what was happening with the shows, I would see the good things that were being done with the shows and areas where maybe they could be a little bit better. And I don't know, I just got it in my head and I was like, Canada, especially Toronto, would be a good place to start. We don't have anything like this, but I know there's a strong watch community here. And I came back and I started looking at venues to run the show, had an idea of once I started doing that, I was kind of cooked. I knew that's what I was going to be doing. So found a venue after about 6 weeks of searching and put my deposit down. I had still about a year before the show was going to take place. But that's when it really became real because I had to put down a pretty sizable deposit. And at that point, I had not spoken to a single brand yet. But I was like,
that's what I was going to ask. When you put that deposit down, did you have any commitments yet?
No, nothing. The only commitment I had was I had gone to some members of the community who had a larger social following or who were more connected than I were. And I said, this is what I want to meet them for two reasons. One, to tell them about my vision and get their feedback about what would work well or what maybe would not work well. And that also drove some of the design of the shows. But I said too, if I do this, would you help me to spread the word? Because I can't do it on my own. I need help from the community. And they said, yeah, absolutely. So I did have some commitments in that form, but I had not spoken to an absolute single brand, nor had I gotten any sort of financial commitment. So it became pretty real on the drive home after I put down that deposit, because the deposit was like over $20,000. And I was like, man, I got to make this work.
Yeah.
And I came home and I think I parked
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And, but it was a lot of work and I slogged away at it. My contract at my current role came to an end probably about maybe 8 weeks after I started the process of planning for the show. And I made the decision at that point because it was starting to get a little bit of momentum. And I said, I'm going to probably not look for another job for 2-3 months and I'll just devote myself fully to the show. Let's see if it, gets some more momentum and if it works out. And yeah, everything started working out and we got a lot of brands committed. First Canadian brand to commit was a company called Lock & King. They're out of Hamilton, Ontario. Ryan's a really great guy. Then I had a brand from Germany commit called Circula, and Cornelius, he's an awesome guy. And just started happening. I had US brands, I had international brands. Chris Ward was probably one of the more notable larger brands that committed first. I think they were number 5 or number 6. And that, I think, changed things a little bit too, because at that point, when they committed, it was the show kind of, for me, felt a little more real. And it also gave, I think, some confidence for other brands to say, oh, Chris Ward's going to be there. Okay, let's, give this a shot. And it took about
a little
a
bit
year,
of credibility.
we got over 50 brands committed for the first year in Toronto, and the show went really well. But it was a ton of work. I was like crazy stressed throughout the whole thing, and but it went well. I was very happy. I couldn't be more pleased. And the part that made me very happy was not just that I brought the brands in, but the people who came to the show. There were so many people at that show who had never been to a watch show before, and they didn't know what to expect. And the jubilation and the excitement and the energy that was flowing from that show weekend, and it lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks afterwards. That was an amazing, amazing feeling. And that made it worthwhile. And then, but even before the running of the first Toronto show, I knew I was going to need a bigger venue. So I went out about 3 months before the first iteration of the Toronto show and booked the venue that we use now, and put my deposit down for that one. And I was working on Vancouver as well. So the timeline in terms of planning and when you start to actually secure venues is about 1 to 1.25 years typically. So you're always kind of thinking ahead, like what you're going to be doing. There's a lot of work right before the show, but the lead up to it is months and years in length. So it's, you're always thinking about what you're doing. And I'm still thinking about like what I'm doing for next year's shows, even right now. So you just keep working at it.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Crazy.
It's a lot of fun. But now I do it full time. It's amazing. To me, this is a dream, being able to, run my own business. And, we're still growing. There's a lot of investment that goes in. So I'm certainly I'm not getting anywhere near retirement or anything like that with this business at this point, but I'm growing. We're connecting more people. It's building momentum. We're doing 3 shows now across Canada. Of course, Toronto Timepiece Show, which is really our flagship show, our largest. This will be the second running of the Vancouver Timepiece Show. Very special to me because it's my hometown originally, and I feel very connected to the West Coast in many ways. And the one thing about the Vancouver show, which I love actually as well, is the Pacific Northwest community, like BC, Oregon, and Washington State. They're all actually very close to each other. So we have a ton of people, attendees come up from the US as well. So Washington and Oregon. And I really love seeing that international collaboration. And then we're doing Montreal this year as well, which I'm super excited about. So that's 1 month after the Vancouver show. So it's been very busy because timelines are very short between the two.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Vancouver Timepiece Show is a little special to me because, as you say, when you talk about the first Toronto show, many people had never been to a watch show. That's me walking into Vancouver. Jordan and I, Jordan as well, when you first announced it, I'll kid, we kid about this, but it's 100% how it went. I forwarded the post to Jordan and I said, road trip ? Joking. Just like, hey, let's go look at watches. Awesome. And he replies to me, he's like, yeah. And within a couple of days, he had flights booked. I was driving. We had a hotel booked. And we were like, hopefully tickets come out soon. Like, we don't even know what happens next. So we were all in from the beginning. So it's very special to us. And walking in there for that first time, like you said, a candy store.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect, and I love hearing stories like that. And I gotta, although you folks are the hosts, I gotta put a question back to both of you. As you came into the show and you kind of saw it, but more importantly, start to go around to the various exhibitors and just take in the atmosphere. What was that experience for you as a watch enthusiast who could be experiencing a larger scale get together for the first time? Because it's been a while since I've been to my first show and had that experience.
Okay.
And I went as a brand owner, so it was a little different. But I'd be really curious to kind of hear what resonated with you, what still carries with you to this day, even from a memory standpoint of that first experience.
Alex, you're being quiet, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
For me, it was, to be honest with you, it was I don't know, man. I don't want to make too much out of it, but it was first and foremost, it was a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to touch everything. Like there was so many, like you did such a good job, Jason, of putting together, there was such an eclectic mix of brands. Everybody had their own style. There was no two dive watches the same in any of the, like it was so cool. But then to be in a room with, at any given moment, a few hundred passionate watch enthusiasts and get to meet people like yourself that, are not only doing the Timepiece Show, but you're also, have your own watch brand. That was infectious, and that is definitely what I carry still from that show, was the passion that I felt from the community there, and the overwhelming sense of pride in what everybody was doing. And it was a really, really, really cool thing to experience. And I can't wait to go back with a year's perspective, so I'm not so overwhelmed this time.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And I agree. The first thing I thought was a little overwhelmed, but I mean that in a good way, because walking in, it's like, I need to do everything right now. Like I'm not patient enough to, take my time and go through. But the biggest thing that I loved about it was, we look at these watches online, number one, being able to hold them in your hand. What an experience that is. It's so hard to buy a watch when you can't look at it. Like you said earlier, try it on, put it on your wrist. And number two, the biggest thing, as Jordan kind of touched on, just kind of the people we met, the relationships we kind of built off of from there, the conversations we got to have. Being in a room with that many people that are all nerding out in the same way you are, and not feeling like a weirdo for being the one guy in the room talking watches. And as excited as you are, the guy next to you is even more. And it's so infectious. And that's why I enjoy doing this so much. We have countdown clocks on our phones and we're always texting each other screenshots of how many days to the next one. So to go in for the new perspective and be more involved this year, I'm super excited. That's awesome. It's so much fun.
I love it. And it'll be interesting. This is, as I mentioned, the second running of the Vancouver show. In September, we did the second running for our Toronto show. And I got a lot of feedback from attendees who came in. It was a new venue, so the experience was a little different, but very similar to what you folks said. It was almost overwhelming. But the second time they came, they kind of knew. One of the things I think that was very common sentiment was people, because they knew the show was coming, they had prepared ahead of time. So they kind of were keeping an eye on it, and they did some research, and when they showed up, they wanted to explore, but they also had a list of very specific things that they wanted to see, or brands that they wanted to talk to, or even brands they spoke to the last year and they weren't quite ready at that point, but they were like, oh, now I'm ready. I want to go talk to them again. And there was kind of this repetition of experience, but people also from a budgeting standpoint were, saving their funds or holding off purchasing anything because they're like, oh, I know I'm going in another 2 months and I want to have the extra cash so I can kind of play and do what I want. And it was really good. The brands did really well. It was a lot of fun. And I think, that feeling is just infectious. And I had with Toronto this last year as well, we ran the Timepiece World Awards, which we will be doing again in Toronto, which I was very excited about. I had a lot of pretty heavy duty media people as well who were in attendance for the jury and that process. And some of them, their feedback, they'd never been to Canada before. And the experience that they had experiencing the show and the Canadian attendees and just kind of the Canadian atmosphere. They spoke about it in such a high regard. And I won't mention him by name, but he sent me a really nice note afterwards. And he says, I've gone to a lot of shows. And he goes, I haven't enjoyed a show this much in over a decade. And he's gone to all of them. And he said the reason is because the people and the enthusiasm, it reminded him of why he was interested in watches in the first place. So what a amazing compliment to get from him regarding the shows, but I think more importantly, the people and the atmosphere that was at the shows. And this is really something in the shows that I want it to be authentic. I want it to be fun. I want it to be welcoming, and I want people to have a good time and feel connected with others. So, this was always the goal of the shows, and it still is.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I even have people that have reached out to me on Instagram that I've gotten to know over the year that kind of, remember Jordan and I just from even walking around there.
Yeah.
And not that we're anybody today, but we're just a couple of nobodies walking through the room, and people reach, oh, I remember you guys, and getting to know them. And I got to tell you, coming out to Vancouver this year, I'm so excited to meet the Dansome. Man, oh man.
Oh yeah.
That guy's become
He's
that
been
guy's
an
become
amazing
just one of my
promoter,
favorites.
and he's such a funny guy and so off the wall sometimes with different things.
He's got so
I
much
really like him.
personality.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah. Well,
personality.
the thing is, I remember seeing him last year and somewhat marking out like, oh, that's the Dansome.
Yeah.
Like, almost like I'm not going to say hi to him because he's a big star and I'm a loser. So I'm just going to let him do
Come
his
on.
thing.
The one thing about the watch
Well,
world,
once I see him, I was like, oh man, that's that guy. That's the Dansome.
yeah,
He's
when
more
you
handsome
see
in
somebody
real
and you
life
want
too.
to talk to them, I recommend going up because running the shows now. Again, it's a very niched, small sort of audience, but I'll be at different shows internationally, and people will come up to me. They'll from things like this, and they'll recognize who I am. And they'll come up and they will like comment or say things, and it still kind of throws me off a little bit because I'm just like, who am I, right? And the watch shows, it always happens. But even sometimes I'll be out on the street somewhere, and somebody goes, "Hey, are you Jason Hutton from Toronto?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've watched
awesome.
whatever." And I'm like, "I'm a fan." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And they want like a selfie. It's such a weird feeling, but it's beautiful that you've been able to, connect with someone in some way, like what you're doing is resonating with them in a meaningful way.
Oh, no.
Even if you've never actually contacted or talked to them before. That's a beautiful feeling. And I think one of the, although social media in the world is certainly not perfect. There's lots of challenges with it. One of the things that I think is great about social media now is it really provides that access or that conduit for people to connect with one
Sorry,
another.
guys, I don't know if you
And
can hear me,
to
but I'm all
learn
frozen
and
here.
feel inspired or motivated by others. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens.
Yeah, 100% to get to be able to have so many people like, a guy like Alex with, thousands of followers, me with hundreds, guys like yourself doing what you're doing in a space. It's such a great way to build community. And it's one of the things I've found since really immersing, and it's probably been really since the Timepiece Show that I did, since I did immerse myself in the watch community, is how welcoming everybody is and how passionate. And most people don't. And I use the phrase yuck someone else's yum because watch collecting is so subjective. And when Alex and I, to our detriment, did our first episode, we went pretty hard on smartwatches. And then I kind of realized myself after watching the episode, like, first we came off really like dicks.
Yeah.
And, and second of all, it's like, why are you yucking someone else's yum? Like, if that's what they're into, that's what they're into. Why would you feel the need to knock that? And so the watch community, I think, is more about embracing each other's passions than sort of driving our own down someone else's throat. And I think that's what's really cool.
It definitely is. And I would say, this is far and away, everybody has opinions. There's no shortage of opinions in the world, but within the watch world, I think generally it's pretty welcoming. And even at the upper echelon, you've got some folks who own or are incredibly talented watchmakers, and they have like old horology pieces, but they're still very supportive and they love to see, the enthusiasm and the market space kind of growing. And I remember after the first Toronto show was done, I got a really nice email from a brand owner of a very, very, very prestigious independent brand. And it sent me a nice long note just saying, I appreciate what you're doing for the community in Canada and creating something new and bringing people together. And he says, keep it up, because I know it's not easy to always put together shows of this scope, but you're doing amazing things. So, I just want to say, keep it up. And I never talked to him before, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I had like kind of this fanboy moment. Like, wow, I can't believe he messaged me to compliment me. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. But it's a lot of fun. And, it's about having a good time and learning and exploring and just sharing that enthusiasm. And there's no other enthusiast community in the world, I think, like the watch world. The watch world, there's a inherent level of trust and respect that operates, I think, at a higher level than almost any other enthusiast community. It's really, really amazing. And it's international as well. I've traveled all over the world now to attend shows and been on airplanes and talking with watch fans, and doesn't matter the culture, doesn't matter their age, doesn't matter men, women, where they're from. The sentiments are the same. The connection is the same. It's this common thread that just bonds everybody together, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's one of the most amazing things I think I've experienced in my life. I really like it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, Alex, go ahead there.
Oh,
buddy.
I was just going to say, sorry. When you live in a small town BC, sometimes your internet drops out, and
That's okay.
booted
We
me
figured
out of here for a
we figured you'd
second.
be back. So
Yeah. All your neighbors are probably watching dirty stuff on the internet, sucking.
Yeah.
yeah, they're downloading too
so-
much porn. This is what happens, right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Not good
Yeah.
not good watch porn like us.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Our watch porn's pretty clean. So
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get all warmed up over a skeletonized movement.
Well-
it takes a special type to get that. So I actually love skeleton movement. I only own one watch that has a skeletonized movement, and I really like it though. It's kind of it was this very one downside I'd say of running these shows is because I'm seeing watches all the time. The first year I was putting it together, I bought more watches than I had in like the previous 5 years because I kept seeing things, right? And I was on forums, and I remember this other one
Yeah.
came up, and it was a little bit of it was a mainstream brand, but I had always wanted one, and somebody posted in the Facebook group, and it was secondhand, but they posted, they said, somebody buy this because if you don't, I will. And I looked, I wasn't planning on it. I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's absolutely gorgeous. And it took me about 10 minutes, and I decided I'm going to buy it. So I pulled out the
10
credit
whole
card, and
minutes.
it was gone. And everybody on the forum post, there was lots of people thinking about it. And everybody's like, who bought it? Who bought it? I went back to get it. It was already gone. So
That's great.
anyways, the Zenith El Primero skeletonized titanium watch. One of the
There you
one
go.
of the more heavy pieces, heavy, not
Cool.
literally heavy, but heavy in terms of cost. It was secondhand though, so it was a good deal. But
Well, not only in cost,
beautiful
but
though. I love
historical importance to watches. Like that El Primero movement is, I'm sure everybody knows, but I'm sure everybody doesn't know that the El Primero movement was the original, Rolex Daytona movement. So
Yeah.
that
was
watch is very, very important piece of history.
such critical history, and I think the very first one, actually, I believe it was the same year as my birth year. So sometimes people talk about like birth year watches and what you would want to buy. That would probably be mine, but it's the prices are like exorbitantly high, so I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'll stick with the one I have, so which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you though. Congratulations. That's a
Thank
great
you.
piece.
That was a fun purchase, although it was a bit challenging financially to do it at the time. But I was like, sometimes you see the opportunity come up and you're like, oh, I really want to get this, and it happened. So
Well, and there's a part of you, this is me, and I can be petty, so I'm gonna own that a little bit. I'm a big fan of Zelos watches, and I've bought all but 2 at release.
yeah,
And one of my favorite things is getting the watch you want at release, because there's a very small window before these things sell out in a lot of
absolutely,
in a lot of
especially with
cases.
Zelos. Yeah.
Yeah, and then going on the website after and watching the guys boohoo over like, oh, Zelos must have bad internet because I didn't get my watch, or there's all these guys just so butthurt that they didn't get the launch, and then there's the real petty child in me that's like,
Exactly.
I
It always
have to
feels good
admit
to
it.
get something. And when I bought that Zenith, I had because I posted later on the thread, I said, oh, I picked it up, right? I actually had 2 people message me afterwards, like within about a week, and say, hey, I interested in selling it. Like I'll give you a little bit more on top because I really want it. I'm like, no,
Wow.
this is for me. I'm going to buy it. I still have it. I mean, it's a great watch. So
That's awesome.
it was
See,
fun. But yeah, it's kind of fun being able to get that, and that, it's part of the chase, right? Whether it's a new watch on release, or maybe you've been searching for a while for like a vintage piece or an out of production piece that you've always wanted, and you're just looking for the right one, and then you find it and you kind of grab it. The hunt is fun as well, right? So I probably buy, out of all the pieces I bought, probably about 30 to 35%, I would say, are like new from the manufacturer, and the other 65, 70%, those are all like secondary market type pieces. So a lot of those
Previously
are vintage as
loved.
well. So this is vintage. I mean, you can't really buying. You can find new old stock vintage, but that's pretty rare. So, but I love finding stuff like that. So, and my taste is very eclectic for all the watches.
That's great.
Well, and it's, when I see a watch like yours, I mean, those are, to me, are the kind of watches that bind us, because who doesn't want a vintage Omega? Do you know what I mean? Like with the pie plate dials, and like they're absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of those, as much as we talk about, Rolex and things like that, yeah, some of it comes down to affordability, but a lot of it is those vintage Omegas, man. They're just class. Like that watch you have on right now is just, that's the vintage watch I'm looking for to start my vintage journey.
Yeah. It's a great watch. I'm a big fan of Omega. They've got tons of history. It's probably the brand that I own the most out of all the brands, just because I've got a number of pieces, almost all vintage. One is less vintage. It's maybe about 15 years old, but I like it. They've got a lot of history. I think they're a lot of fun. They're a bit more accessible, I would say, than some of the other like higher end vintage brands that are out there too. So
sure.
I really like them for that reason too. So I have a good time. And like I say, I wear this one a lot. So when I told you I picked it up at a thrift store, and it actually came as two. So there was this one, and then there was another one which was slightly newer, but it was like a stainless case. So I've got both of them, but I wear the gold one probably a little more.
Cool.
I just like the kind of the warmth of the metal for a vintage piece. So yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I have a question for you. Just, we're talking about cool watches and dials. One of the things that I've always, because I'm a big mark for Meteorite, how do you go about sourcing? And obviously, if anything's proprietary, by all means, keep that to yourself. But how do you go about sourcing Meteorite dials for your watches? Like that to me is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, but I'm gonna have to send some hit guys to kill you afterwards.
Yeah.
No, I actually the Meteorite. I mean, it's a. I would consider it a somewhat rare material, not rare in the sense, but it's not common.
Just the size of exotic to me.
Yeah, there's two main sources of meteorite that are used for both like people collecting meteorites as well as like jewelry usage. There's Gibeon, I think Gibeon meteorite out of Africa. That's slightly smaller, and the bigger one is called the Mona Lisa meteorite, which is for the ZENEA watches. That's the source of that material. So there are basically guys with metal detectors who go up in northern Sweden where the Mona Lisa meteorite fell, and they go around, they search for days, and they look and they hope they find a nice big piece of meteorite. And the meteorite is worth quite a bit of money, and it's usually like been not exposed for a long time, so it's kind of got a crust on the outside. But then they find it and they sell it to different people, and when they use the meteorite for watch faces specifically, it's an extremely thin layer. So they process it and they slice it, but the material itself is a little fragile. Like if you drill it or work it, it may crack or break. So what they do is they actually back it usually with copper or brass plate to give it a bit more rigidity. So they've got the meteorite on top, and then if you look on the underside, if you flip the watch open, it'll be either copper or brass, and that gives it a bit more rigidity and allows you to like work and drill holes for applied indices and things like that. It's a premium product, so definitely costs a lot more than a regular dial, but it's so unique, and really the pattern and I can't remember the name of it the name is escaping me right now, but it's a German word. It basically means like the unique patternation that's created. Because of course the meteorite, when it was created, it was, super hot. And then in the vacuum of space, it cools off incredibly slow. It's like 1/2 a degree for every year. So it takes centuries and centuries for the material to cool down to basically absolute zero. And that super slow cooling is what creates that very unique meteorite pattern that's unique. And you can't really replicate it in a real meaningful way on the earth. So it's such a unique piece. And like I said, I love it. And a lot of watch groups know how to get it, but it's, you pay for it basically. And eventually, it will run out at some point, but there's still quite a few big pieces out there. So
as I say, till then I'll keep buying.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, there's not a lot more neat than when you're looking at the grain patterns on a meteorite dial in the sunlight. Because some parts are flat. Like it looks so, even though that whole dial is the same thickness, it looks like there's a depth to the dial that you just don't get from other things.
It's so unique, and there's inclusions of like carbon and different materials, and it's so unique. And I always laugh whenever I have a meteorite watch. And the Mona Lusta specifically, it fell down to the Earth about 1 million years ago, but the actual meteorite material is about 4.5 billion years old, which is older than the Earth. So I always laugh when I'm wearing my meteorite watch. I say I've got the most vintage watch in the entire room, right? Because you've got this incredibly old material that's been around. It's such a unique.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love meteorite watches, and when they're done right, in my opinion, when it's done right, you've got some sort of complementary, colors or the design that helps highlight or bring out the meteorite material without kind of taking away from it. I love it. I think meteorite's one of the most unique materials out there for sure. So.
Yeah, it's on my list. I want one in the collection sometime soon. I just haven't found, just not the one yet, but it's coming.
You'll find it. There's always some cool ones that come out there. And I know lately in the last year or two, there's a proliferation, I would say, of like stone-based dials. So there's lots of unique things, but I think meteorite blows all those stone dials out of the water. It's the storytelling of it is unique, and the uniqueness of the material is nothing else like it. So.
Agreed.
And then you see like Formex last year when they did the Essence with the 24 karat painted meteorite dial. Oh my Lord, that was pretty. Like
that was a sick looking watch. I really liked it.
Yeah, that one almost got me. Got me.
I know there's a couple people that have done the like not the anodized, but the electroplated kind of color over top of the meteorite, and I think meteorite with the gold is when it's done right, it looks really cool. So it's a very
I have one in black. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, I have one in black carbon, and the gold, I would swap that for that gold in a heartbeat. Like the black carbon, you have to be really in bright sun to see it, and so for me, it's either like something like that gold, or just give me the gray meteorite.
Yeah, the meteorite stands out really like across the rooms. I remember for my my brand. One of the guys who owned one of my meteorite watches was out for dinner at like this Brazilian steakhouse, and actually the chef saw his watch. He's a watch guy, but the chef saw his watch from across the room in the kitchen, and he actually said, "Oh," after like 5 or 10 minutes, "Oh, just cover me for a minute." And he came out and he talked to him. I was asking him about the watch because he goes, "I saw that from across the room. Like, tell me about it." And he wound up buying one for himself, which is kind of cool. And
that tells you you're doing something right.
Yeah, for certain things for sure. So, and like I love doing the shows even more than my brand though, because it connects so many amazing people in the community and brands together. I love kind of seeing the outcomes of that. And one thing I'll give a quick mention as well that we're launching. Of course, last year we had the Timepiece World Awards, but that's actually branded and tied into Timepiece World Journal, which is an editorial media platform that we're launching fully over the next, I'd say, 2 to 4 weeks. So there'll be a table at the Vancouver show, and we'll have one of the directors of content there talking about it. But I've got a team of about half a dozen journalists, and we're putting all sorts of watch content and media in terms of writing and articles in the world of horology. So we're doing some really fun brand profiles and talking a little bit about timepieces. But because it's all editorial, we don't do any watch reviews. We don't do any paid content whatsoever. So it's really gives us the creativity and the ability to really approach some very unique perspectives, I think, within the watch world. So I'm actually super, super excited about that initiative because I think it has potential to reach a very, very large audience across the world. So, another way to kind of help, give Canadians a little bit more voice, I would say, within the international watch community. So super excited about that. So.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. That sounds awesome. Looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, going to be lots of cool stuff. So, and we'll have a little giveaway to give away if people sign up to the newsletter. So pop by, we'll get you guys hooked up with that stuff too. So it'll be good though. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect. So speaking of the Vancouver Timepiece Show, we've brought it up a lot. So I know I have a couple of questions on what can we all expect when we show up there, brand wise, and just what can we expect to see there in a few weeks here.
This year we're going to have about 40 brands coming. Very similar brands to last year. A few of them that wanted to come this year couldn't make it because of scheduling conflicts, but we also have a lot of new folks coming. Chris Ward will be there again. One of the more interesting there's a couple of interesting new brands which are coming. One is Maurice Lacroix. We'll have a full table there. So they've got some pretty interesting stuff. And another brand that I love is Micromilspec out of Norway. They make some of the best tool watches out there. They do a lot of work with like military units and whatnot. So they do some really creative stuff. Amazing. Another, Canadian heritage brand that I love as well. Of course, Marathon Watches, they will be out here again this year. They've been super supportive of the show. So many other incredible brands there, like lots of French representation. We've got some great brands from Asia coming. We've got a new brand as well called 22 Studio, and they're actually quite interesting. He's an industrial designer by trade, but all of his dials he actually makes out of formed concrete, which sounds strange, but it looks really, really cool.
Sounds hard.
Yeah,
it sounds difficult.
It doesn't look easy to make, but from the photos and everything I've seen, they look amazing. So that's actually one of the watches I'm really excited to see myself personally, because it's so unique with what he does, and the guy who founded it and runs it, he's a really cool guy. And and there's so many other brands which are coming as well. Too many to mention. They are on the website now for the Vancouver Timepiece Show. If you go to timepieceshow.com and you click on the header with Vancouver, it'll list out all of the brands that are there. There'll probably be a couple of late minute additions. There usually is, but we'll have about 40 brands this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Nice. The ticket sales are going super strong, so I think we're going to have even bigger crowds than last year. But because we've got slightly less brands than last year, I think the space is going to be a little more spread out. So it's going to kind of have that relaxed Vancouver vibe, and we should have, hopefully the weather cooperates and we have that nice natural light streaming in, and I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a really, really cool show, and I know I get so many messages from locals and people excited to come, and a lot of people who wanted to come last year but they couldn't make it for whatever reason, and this year they've booked the time and they're coming up and they're going to be here. So very excited to see those folks get to experience their first show, even though the show has happened once before, they didn't get to come to it. So it's going to be a very new experience for them. So lots of cool stuff happening. So
it's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to, obviously we keep saying it, just to go in there with, a different perspective. And year 2, you got some experience under your belt, and just going in there. I'm super excited for this year. And we're obviously going to be, I think not so much overwhelmed by it, and maybe overwhelmed by trying to film all the stuff we want to take pictures of and get video content of. But we're excited to meet all of the brands and get to experience them in person too. I can't wait.
Super cool. One thing we have that's new this year that we did was we actually created a larger kind of dedicated media lounge, basically around the center of the show floor. So within that, nice. And you folks will have access to it as media or VIPs. And there's, there's coffee in there. There's like a photo booth, so some proper lighting, so you can get a wrist shot or do a flat lay and take a quick picture. We have some tables and chairs. So if you want to sit down with a brand or somebody for a few minutes and get a few sound bites or have an interview, you can do that versus just being at the table. So that's going to be open all weekend as well. So I think it'll create a very robust experience for our media partners and our media guests that are at the show this year.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate you, considering us in this. We're such big fans, so this is exciting for me.
You guys are all part of the community. It's an important part, right?
Yeah. So, no one's ever called me media before.
You are media, though. You are.
I've been called a lot worse, that's for sure.
That's okay. I say media in the nicest sense. So but it'll be great, and I'm excited to have you guys at the show as well. Awesome. So I know we've been talking a little while about for doing this podcast, and I'm just super excited that you folks are there, and you're building your audience and connecting with people, and the shows have been really good, generally speaking, I'd say, for Canadian content creators and media as well. It's really given them a platform to connect with these brands in a very personal way. And there's, post show, there's always so many things that start happening, and you see these collaborations and different agreements which are reached where people kind of work together, help share, the messaging. And it's really amazing to see that. I love it. And this is part of the goals of the show, right? Is to help give Canada a voice in the international stage for watchmaking and the watch horology community. So
Yeah. Well, and it's
Agreed.
hard. Like, I mean, as much as we love our country, we're sort of this little landlocked space, especially out here in Western Canada, right? So
Yeah.
to be able to have a platform like this provided by somebody like yourself, I mean, I hope we all appreciate it because, you know, without you, Alex and I aren't at our first timepiece show, you know. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't, but I couldn't be happier that the Vancouver Timepiece Show was my first experience just because A, you know, you're a straight up class guy and I'm
Thank you.
super happy to support it. And B, you know, to be able to go see those, like, when you mentioned earlier that you were talking about, you know, people that were coming to their second show and were excited to see brands a second time and things like that. Right away, what came into my head, were Venezianico and Marathon.
Yeah.
You know, because Marathon's one of those tool watches, like when I see them, I'm like, but they look so big. So this year I'm actually going to get one on my wrist and have a look because for whatever reason, I'm a really big fan of tritium. I don't know what it is.
I like tritium.
You know?
Tritium is cool. The only downside, of course, is after, you know, a decade or 12 years, you have to replace the tubes, right? But it looks great.
Yeah.
And Marathon has a lot of cool pieces. And they have some other pieces which are a little more modest in size. My wrist is about 6 3/4, so it's not giant. It's kind of like a smaller medium wrist. And some of the watches, you love them, but it's just a bit too chunky or robust. And to me, it's not as comfortable. But Marathon has some real variation in size too, especially over the last few years. So they have some cool stuff, and they're a great crew. They'll be out again. Venezianico is out again as well. So there's a lot of good repeat exhibitors coming.
Oh.
So
I hope they've seen none of the videos that I've posted where I cannot say their name on this show. I'm going to be so embarrassed, but I want to go talk to them because I was the lucky winner of their watch from the Dansoms 12 days.
Oh, you were? Very good.
Yeah. So that I'm so excited to meet them in person again and being, you know, the proud owner of one of their watches now. So yeah, I'm excited to meet them.
Yeah, they're
I know
cool
Dansom
people,
had a
actually.
funny video with saying their name last year too. So I guess I'm not alone.
It's a bit of a tricky name to say if you're not used to it. So when I first met them, actually, I was in Geneva, and that was the first time that I met them, and I had a really nice chat with them, and they just connected, and they were super interested in the shows, and I was telling them about the vision, and since then they've been super strong supporters and just absolutely amazing people, and they've done very well for themselves. I think from a brand standpoint, they've really grown, and you know, they work hard to try and create as best an experience as they can for all of their clients. And they have a lot of watches. I'm not a fan of all of them, but I like a lot of them. And some of them are like amazing. So they're doing well. They're doing well.
Yeah. And I mean, very few manufacturers all in on every model, you know.
And that's normal, right? It's, you can't. Yeah. And it's not even a fact of, if they've created a lot of great models or not great models. It's watches are such a personal expression of your own experience 100%. And your own taste. You can have something that you absolutely love and you fall in love with, and the person beside you is just like, ugh, how could you wear that on your wrist? That's not, it's not for me. And there's variations within that. You know, our taste evolves over time as well. And sometimes it's just different mood. You know, sometimes I have great watches and I'm not in the mood to wear it. So I wear something else completely different. But that's the beauty of watches, right? It's fun and you can change it up and nothing's forever. So, you know, I don't buy and sell a lot of watches, but I have had some watches that I've purchased and I sell them to somebody else because they, you know, they're keen on it, or, you know, I'm not giving it the risk time that it kind of deserves. And, but it's, there's so much for every person of every budget and every taste. That's what I love about watches, is it really is such a expression of personality in so many ways, and it's so fun. It's so fun.
Well, and one of the things I'm glad you mentioned is every budget, because one of the things Alex and I both, you know, we don't agree on much. We actually kind of hate each other, but one of the things we really do agree on is we both have a strong disregard for the phrase "my first real watch." Because that sounds like there's a price point on a real watch. And like you said, you know, there's a watch in every budget and there's a price point for everybody to get in. I mean, if you like a watch for $50, man, rock that watch for $50. And it is a real watch. It's not an illusion. It's not, you know, it's tangible and it's on your wrist. So I really hate that phrase. So I like it. You know, I'm glad you're kind of promoting every budget, because that's where
I've heard that phrase so many times, and I've been guilty of using it a few times as well. But again, I think every watch has value and it has a story to tell. and means something, right? And this is my watch's collection is very eclectic, and I've got, higher end pieces, and I've got pieces which are, picked up at thrift store for $10. I actually rotate them and wear them all pretty equally, and I will enjoy each of those watches for different reasons. And yeah, I love your sentiment though. There's not the first real watch. It's just the watch that you love for whatever reason. And, that can be mechanical, it could be quartz, it could be something that's, by watch enthusiast standards, it's not that, but for that person, it means something and they love it. And, this is, I think, having shows or having venues where people can come and not feel judged, even if they're starting out. This is the most beautiful space or thing that you can create, because it helps bring people in, and then they start to know and understand and learn and understand you mentioned earlier about your tastes, like what you like and what resonates with you. And I think as people get more experience with hands-on, then they can start to understand what they really like, and it's different for everybody. But I respect everybody's tastes. People have different goals with it, and the fact that we could all connect with one another, and the majority of the watch community is, especially in the independent space, is very, very attuned and supportive of one another. I love this. So the only thing I don't like is people who wear fake watches, like counterfeits. I'm not a fan of that.
No, you'll get no arguments here.
Yeah. I'm not talking homage, which is a little different, but just fake. And it drives me crazy. Me crazy. Anyways, I'll usually say something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But I usually will, say something, because I don't, you're stealing from a brand that's put a lot of work into building their product. So,
yeah. Well, and I, as somebody who, as pretentiously as possible preaches that, watches are the intersection of sort of art, engineering, design. To me, art is a small part of your soul. So for somebody just to go blatantly rip off your design, I don't appreciate that. So I'm not big on fakes. You can get out of here with those things.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially when you're stealing from like a micro brand.
Yes.
When someone,
it's starting to happen more often than not too. And it's, it's one of the ones I remember the most, of course, is, and you could probably argue they're not a micro brand anymore, because they do have quite a bit in sales, but Studio Underdog, of course, they've had like rampant copying of so many of their models.
Yeah.
And Richard just kind of says, "Oh, you got a copy? I'll turn it into a marketing opportunity." And he's done really fun, creative things, and I really like it. But it definitely occurs, and you see it time and time again. And there's a lot of good design and good creativity that's coming out from a lot of smaller brands, micro brands and independent brands. And it doesn't take long and people start, picking up on it and copying it, which is unfortunate. But I think you just have to keep innovating and be true to your design language, and you're going to keep coming out with innovative new things all the time. So,
yeah. I.e. Christopher Ward right now. They are pumping out new models by the day.
There's many things coming out from them for sure. So very interesting when you look at the dynamic of a company like Christopher Ward too, because although I would say they're, from a price standpoint, they're ascending or navigating into other areas as well, which has been 100%. Traditionally different than what they've provided. They still have a lot of new models that kind of cater more to that base or their original offering as well. So I think they're doing a reasonably good job of trying to, navigate through that space, because it's not easy to do that. And, Studio Underdog has done that a little bit as well. They've had some pretty impressive collaborations with some very big brands. And, they got a lot of grief when some of those brand collaborations came out because of the price. And, but I was like, why are we complaining about this? We should be celebrating that a small independent brand has successfully been able
100%.
to create a collaboration with a major horology house and create something really unique. I think it's amazing that they were able to do that. So, well done for them.
Well, and just because a brand, and I'll just make a round number, just because a brand has most of their pieces in around, let's say 1,500 Canadian, which is probably, Christopher Ward. Does that make them exclusive, that they have to make every watch in that price range, that they can't come out with something a little higher up? And people say, well, I'm not going to pay, $4,000 for a Christopher Ward. Well, why not if the value's there? Don't get hung up on, and I'll use that Nico Leonard. and I say that with disdain. I don't mean to. That sounded terrible.
I meant
but
Nico, so yeah.
yeah, and he's a guy that's partially responsible for some of the passion I have for the business. Recently I found him overwhelmingly negative, but he really goes hard on people that, Grand Seiko. Well, you're paying $5,000 for a Seiko. No, you're paying $5,000 for a Grand Seiko, and the finishing and the movements and everything's vastly different than inside a Seiko watch. And so that's the stuff I kind of want to make sure I avoid, where I'm looking and saying, well, it's just a Seiko. I'd never pay $5,000 for a Seiko. And you know what? When I was young and ignorant and breaking into this, I think I repeated that at some point. Do you know what I mean? But then I went and put Grand Seiko on my wrist and was like, oh yeah, I'm stupid.
Always judge a watch on its own merits. That's how I look at things. I have one Grand Seiko. I bought it from a dealer in New York a few years ago. I love it. It's the Lake Shosho. It's kind of like almost like the white birch, but it's got the horizontal and kind of blue pattern to it. Yeah. I was wearing it through an airport. This is painful, this story. And I apologize to all the watch lovers out there before you hear the end of it. You kind of guess where this is going. Anyways, I was going through security, and so I took my watch off quickly and I slipped it into my jacket pocket and zipped it up, put my jacket on the X-ray and went through. But it was a long flight. It was an international flight, and I forgot to take the watch out and put it back on my wrist. It was basically in the jacket the whole time. So, I moved the jacket around, I moved this, moved that, I jam it in the overhead. 16 hours later, I get home and I'm like, I go look at the time. I'm like, oh, where's my watch? And I'm like, oh, it's in my pocket. And I go to reach in to get it. And those watches are so highly polished. And I go to reach in to the pocket, and there's about $2 in coins mixed in with the watch. I'm like, oh no. Anyway, so I put my glasses and I pull it out, and there's little blemishes and scratches all over. And it was perfect before. And it's all over it's not tons, but there's enough. It's on the bracelet, it's on the body. And I'm just like, oh, this is so painful. But I still wear it. And it doesn't look the same, because it was almost perfection before. And with the Zaratsu polishing and everything, you can't really just go anywhere, just get it tweaked up. Like, I'd have to send it back to Japan and get them to fix it up. So anyways, I still wear it, but it's very painful because I did something and it was so foolish on my part, and I should have known better. But anyways, this is my grandson. So,
oh gosh,
we always talk about the stories behind watches. Some of them are really good. Some of them are tough.
Some of them are tough. Yeah. You're still doing pretty good in life if that's one of your bigger, recent challenges, right? But it was a bit painful to see, because I was like, the watch is still beautiful, but it's a bit dinged up now. So anyways, this is how it goes.
Well, and I think Grand Seiko's, I call them dial kings. Like their dials are so insane. Like they're so good.
And I think that, Grand Seiko is very interesting. I agree with everything you said. Like, they're absolutely spectacular timepieces. And I think dollar for the money, they're incredibly well finished pieces. And they have really unique dial finishing and all the other elements, just incredible. But it's one of those things where, you have to kind of be a watch enthusiast to truly appreciate it. And when I've been wearing that watch, when I've had non-watch people look at it, sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, you're talking, and you show them, and they don't know, so they think it's a Seiko, but they're like, I didn't think Seiko looked this good. And it's like, no, because it's not really a Seiko, it's a Grand Seiko, right? And then you're talking about it, and they're like, oh, okay. But it's such an amazing brand with, I think, what they've done. But Grand Seiko, with the advent of social media, especially like Instagram and macro photography, that has helped cement that product, I think, into really almost legendary status. Because with the naked eye, you can see it's beautiful, but you don't realize how exceptionally finished it is until you get in there with a macro lens, and you go into such a deep level of magnification, and you see the finishing is far beyond almost anything that's out there. But you can't see that level of macro with your naked eye. You just can't. So it's really kind of the photography and the social media that's kind of brought that out to the forefront, I think. And this is like a true watch nerd thing, right? You're like, oh, look at this. It's perfect. It's like, but it's amplified 50 or 80 times. You'll never see, you can appreciate that it's there, but just looking at it, you cannot tell. You just can't.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're a very unique brand though. I like them a lot. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. It's funny. I get to work from home most of the time. So I'll often find myself in the middle of the day, check the time and be like, oh, look at the way the sunlight's coming in and hitting this. Before I know it, I've got a light set up. I've got my camera.
I think this is a big part of watches actually. And I've said this a lot about my own brand and just any watch when you're wearing it. When you feel the weight of it on your wrist and you look at it or you appreciate it and feel the weight, it kind of gives you this gentle reminder to just be appreciative and grateful for the things that you have and the amazing kind of life around you. And just to stop for a moment and take it in and enjoy it. To me, that's what watches do for me personally. And they say, oh, well, you can still use them to tell the time. And yes, I look at my watch to tell the time, but I pull out my phone and look at the time as equal amount as I do looking at my watch. But when I pull out the phone to take a look at the time, it doesn't make me smile. When I look at my watch, I feel something or I smile. And, you know, this is the beauty of watches.
Yeah. Oh, that's so well said.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, I think right there, we wind this thing up, take it home. That was the perfect sentiment.
Yeah. So obviously we've been talking about the Vancouver Timepiece Show. You have the Toronto and Montreal Timepiece shows as well this year.
Absolutely.
Montreal is a month after Vancouver.
Yeah. So the Vancouver show, we have our VIP and creators night, media night on the 24th on the Friday. And then the public days are April 25th and 26th. So that's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You do need tickets to get in, but tickets are free for Vancouver. And you just have to go to timepieceshow.com and click on the Vancouver link and you can register for tickets. Montreal is taking place May 29th, 30 and 31st. 30 and 31st are the public days, same hours, 10 to 5. And you click on same website, timepieceshow.com, click on Montreal, and you can grab your tickets. And we have an amazing venue there. It's an old restored church from 1861 that's been turned into an event space. It's really, really cool. You guys will see when all the media starts coming out about it. I'm really excited about that show. And then, of course, Toronto in September again, last weekend. So September 25th, 26th, and 27th. So excited about that show as well. And lots of exciting things happening for that show. All three. I mean, this is part of the Canadian landscape now of the watch shows. And I will say one last thing before we wrap up. Once I added in the Montreal show and having that trilogy of shows, it's very interesting because the way the brands would speak to me and the way they would talk about the Canadian market is when I added that third show that it sort of became, the Timepiece Show series. And if you want to tap into Canada, this is the avenue that you do it. So I think it is really, truly representative of the majority of the nation now. And it's a very, very exciting time. And I'm excited for the brands and to come in and get to know the Canadian audience a lot better. And we're starting to get more and more people traveling from different geographies to come check out the show as well. That's an amazing feeling. Every time I hear somebody flew in from somewhere to attend the show or drove many, many hours, it's like the highest compliment I can receive. It's just amazing that somebody would take that much of their time and resources to come and be a part of something. It's a really beautiful compliment. So I thank everybody who's come to the shows and who will come to the shows. And I encourage you to, if you've never come before, come check it out and you'll have a good time. The audience is great and the brands are amazing and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, tickets are free. So if you don't enjoy your time, I will personally give you your money back.
There you go.
I couldn't encourage it more. It's such a great experience. I'm excited about that Montreal venue. I unfortunately know I cannot be in Montreal this year. There is still discussions in the household between the boss and I on Toronto, so that's not out of the question yet.
Come on out. We've got some really incredible things happening in Toronto this year. It'll be well worthwhile to come out. So, anyways, they're all good though. They're all a lot of fun. They all bring a slightly different atmosphere, but the key is just thousands of enthusiasts coming together, a lot of amazing brands, and it's such a good time. And whatever show you want to come out to, you're more than welcome, and we welcome everyone.
And on behalf of thousands and thousands of watch enthusiasts, congratulations, sir, on your success of your trilogy of shows, and also thank you so much for doing so much work for the watch community and bringing us all together and offering so much. I believe you're going to leave an indelible footprint on the business in Canada, and thank you for that as well.
Thank you. You're giving me goosebumps on my arms, actually. Thank you so much. I'm not joking. It's really kind words, but that's the goal. Is I really want to create something that's meaningful and has legacy. And, as I mentioned before, giving a voice to the Canadian market and just continuing to build. And, we're not the largest country, but I think we've got a very active community. We're in a very engaged audience, and the feedback from all the brands who've come has been nothing but positive, really. So I'm excited for what the future holds for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for all your support of us. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. I enjoyed this conversation so much. I know you're going to be super busy when we're in Vancouver, but I'm looking forward to still saying hi and attending everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll sit down on that media lounge for 5 or 10 minutes and catch up or whatever during the time. Yeah. So very excited for the show. And thank you so much, guys, for your support and congrats on the continued growth and success of your podcast. You're doing great things. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
That was a great conversation with Jason Hutton from the Canadian Timepiece shows with the Vancouver Timepiece Show just coming up. Had a great time chatting with him and learning more about what we have in store for us in a few weeks here, and just great conversation. Just watches. Yeah, it was fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to have Jason on again at any point he wants to come on this show because, not only entertaining, also educational.
Yeah, it was great. Cool conversation.
Yeah, definitely more excited about the Timepiece shows now, and where Toronto wasn't necessarily on my radar, it definitely is now. He made me excited.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the wife and I have been just talking about just going as spectators just for the fun of it because I've never actually been to Toronto. So now it's just, I think it's, we need to go.
Yeah, for sure.
We got a special guest coming on next week, and we got maybe some news happening for some stuff with the show. So look forward to sharing that all with you. And there's your little teaser.
Yeah, big announcements on the next show.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, sucker.
All right.
Let's take it home.
Let's take it home. Thanks for everybody for watching and listening. We appreciate you all for being here. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
And slow down, we're out of time. Same watch talk next time.